it's like people wanted to take care of me because I was a woman traveling alone. Let's go Europe. And in fact, this was like, let's go Eastern Europe.
Makes
Surprise.
sense. Don't go into to a communistic Europe. Makes sense. Makes sense.
It's over. It's gone.
It's the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
And did you know anything about the Czechoslovakia when you came here? Or it was like, where am I?
It's a new democracy. And I have to be very careful not to bring up. I've traveled in over 90 countries. Like, looking back, I feel really lucky with certain kinds of experiences that I had.
Hi guys, we welcome you to another episode of Borderline Czech podcast where me, Daria, and Jan argue about stuff in Czech Republic, and as I call it, me being mean to Jan for 60 minutes straight. Today we have a very special guest with us, Joanne. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we decided that we're going to interview someone very interesting about how Czech Republic has changed in the last, decades, actually, because Joanne has been living in Czech Republic and Prague specifically for 5 years now.
Yes, it was 2018. Yeah.
So even more.
Even more.
But it's not her first time in the Czech Republic, and the first time she visited was actually in 1990s, just 4 months after the revolution, which is absolutely crazy if you ask me. So, Joanne, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yes. So I first came to Prague at the beginning of March 1990. And at that time, it was like a birthday present to myself. I was heading from Canada to Paris, Venice, and Berlin. Okay, that was my triangle. And a colleague said, "Why don't you stop into Prague? You know that the revolution just happened, and it's a chance to photograph there before everything changes." Okay. And so I got myself a visa to come into Czechoslovakia at that time in Vienna, and came across the border, and I was in Prague for a week, and it completely changed my life.
Wow.
How so?
Well, because I felt like I was stepping back 50 years, and everything felt. And just to understand that I'm a photographer, so I came as a photographer, and everything felt black and white, but in the sense of nostalgia. And so I was so captivated with the things going on at that particular time, and chance meetings with people, that I ended up going back to Canada and packing up my bags and coming to the East. So coming back to the Eastern Bloc and spending 16 months here as a photographer. So that would have been in Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Romania. And so it was a totally amazing experience, and especially at that moment in time. So it was like very different from Canada. So you said like you were stepping back like 50 years ago. So it was like very different. Yes, because I would say that under the communist regime, time stopped, right? So, but it was not only that the I don't want to. It's not a point that things were old. I think I would say that like buildings and streets and cars were tired looking.
That's a good description. I like that.
Yeah, they were just very tired, and
that's what I'm going to use from now on. When I want to say that something was like old and ugly, I'll be like, tired looking. It looks very tired. Like Ministry of Interior looks tired looking. Like that's what I'm going to use from now on.
But something else that was really interesting at that time that was very uniquely different from time that I spent in Warsaw and time that I spent in Budapest is that at that time I could speak German. Okay. And so if I ever wanted to know, because there was a lot of activity in the streets, You know, that so if I wanted to find out what was going on, I just had to sort of seek out an older person in the crowd and ask them in German.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that was a way that I could find out what was going on. And then as well, I mean, I would have been 30 at the time, but I was a young 30. I spent a lot of time hanging out with university students who were quite anxious to practice their English.
Yeah.
Okay. So I befriended a number of people at that time. And so it was easy to ground myself, I guess. But it felt like people would come up to me in the street and tell me things that they were just learning for the first time and they just needed to say it. Like one thing that I remember in particular is that somebody coming up to me just randomly and saying, "Did you know that beneath the metro system in Prague is a whole underground of secret tunnels that only the communists could access in the case of a nuclear war?" You know, just random things like that.
It sounds like social media now, just in real life.
Oh, it was
Random facts.
Did you know?
So it was kind of like it was kind of like people were. I don't want to say that they were in shock, but it was just beginning to sink in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish people just randomly came to me in Prague and just like share like information. Like, did you know that underneath the shopping mall in Untold there is, I don't know, whatever. Yes,
I don't know. There's a secret Prada.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that would be. Wow, that's interesting. So, did you do something with that information? Like, to gather it? Did you like interview them more?
Well, I mean, I was on the one hand, I was like, see, I was lucky because as a woman traveling alone at that time, generally speaking, people in the East, and I refer to the area as Central Europe, but at the time it was still Eastern Europe, right? Is that as a woman?
Jan is happy.
At that time, it's like people wanted to take care of me because I was a woman traveling alone.
Okay.
So I kept getting invited into let's say private spaces, you know, that people would invite me to their house for dinner or just, you know, if I wanted to stay there for a couple of days or invite me for a coffee or, you know, like on trains, people wanted to take care of me. So it was kind of, it was really, it was a really cool moment. I really think that if I was a young male traveling around, I wouldn't have had that same kind of like interactions like that in the same way. They would have been different, but I felt like looking back, I feel really lucky with certain kinds of experiences that I had.
Yeah.
And did you know anything about the Czechoslovakia when you came here, or it was like, where am I?
Oh, well, in 1977, I was a high school student in Germany for 6 months. Okay. So with my German family, we traveled to Dubrovnik, you know, so that was, you know, in the former Yugoslavia. And I ran into a couple of people who had just come from Czechoslovakia. So they had stories. So at that point, it sort of like sparked my interest, you know, and to remember that as a 17-year-old in Germany, I was living very close to the East German border. So that, I mean, it's one thing studying history in a book.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you actually, when you start to experience and you see it. And so the whole mystique about Eastern Europe was definitely there. So it was like, and I got goosebumps even thinking about it. It was just a really, you know, just to see things for myself, you know, as opposed to just, you know, randomly coming across it in a book, let's say.
And the 1990s, that were completely special times, you know, and it's very difficult to see something like that in any other countries now or like experience that, because everything was switching from the communist regime to like the free world regime and like people didn't know what they were doing. So it must have been really intense, I would say.
Yeah. And actually to share with you, I found the little hotel that I stayed in. Like when I came back in 1990, I had a list of things.
Yeah.
No, when I came back in 2018, because my last time I was here was in 92, March 92, the week the McDonald's came.
We're going to talk about that. We're
Opened.
going to talk about McDonald's for sure, yes.
Yeah. That was the last time I was in Prague. And so then flash forward to 2018 when I came back here in August 2018, and I had a list of places to check out.
Yeah.
And one of them was the little hotel that I stayed in back in from 90 to 92 because Prague became my hub for all my travels. Is not too far from where your office is, which is interesting, because and so it took me a while to find it.
Yeah.
But that whole hub, stayed around Namnesty Muro. And so there's some parts of that are still
there
in place.
Yeah.
And there's other places that have transitioned. Yeah.
Wow. But I was wondering also, I have a question. So I don't know if you were in contact with your family, if they were supportive of you coming here, or did they think you're crazy? Like, how did people in Canada react when you were like, okay, I'm going to go to Eastern Europe for 16 months?
Well, it's funny that I was going to say this because because my friends and family used to call me a gypsy. And I mean, that was back when, because I was always
like a vagabond, right?
A vagabond type, you would call tramping.
Yeah.
I was always nomadic in nature.
Yeah.
And so I think that they weren't necessarily surprised.
Okay. It was
necessarily
makes
surprised.
sense. John going to a communistic Europe makes sense.
Well, yeah, and at that time, at that time, if it was kind of if anybody can do it, Joanne can do it. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. That's cool. Wow.
Yeah, so maybe a good time now to ask what has changed. Maybe let's first talk about the buildings and the places. So when you were back here in 1990s and then you came here 2018. So we talked about the hotel where you stayed, so that was still there. But what else? The McDonald's and everything.
Oh, yes. Well, the very, very, very first place that I went to when I came back in 2018 on Wenceslas Square, right by is it Primark? The Primark? Primark. Okay, right at that corner.
Yeah.
Not the Primark, but across the street. I think it's a Rossmann now. Used to be a milk bar.
Okay.
That was just okay, and we're talking about.
What is a milk bar?
That's very communist.
I need context. I need context. What is a milk bar?
What is it called in Czech? Mleko? Is it?
I don't think we have it anymore. Maybe in small countryside cities or something.
Yeah. Literally, it's like when I come across them when I'm traveling across Czech Republic. It's oh my God, it's a milk bar.
I just saw one. So I just came from Poland. I was there on the weekend, and there were milk bars there, but I feel like it was just regular bars, just called milk bars. So I need context.
Yeah, this was you get milkshakes there, a strawberry milkshake and stuff.
But the cool thing, and this is what the sort of the sense of tradition that was so interesting for me, that I suppose for Czechs it's kind of they would want the McDonald's, but for me I love the tradition is that early morning, they open up at 6 o'clock in the morning, right, and they make big vats of hot cocoa out of real milk, and then the whole array of pastries. So people line up, and you get that big, and it's like a hot cocoa that you can't believe how good it is. It's kind of you just want to go back. It's like a grandma experience. You just want to go back and.
Well, thank you so much. Now I'm gonna have a cocoa today with pastry things.
Yeah, and I've had. From time to time, I'll go into a cafe and it's they've got, and I'll try, and it's it's just not the same. Yeah. So so I went back and it was
used to be big also, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not just the small.
Oh yeah. It was you get a mug and and when I say that open up at 6 o'clock, I mean it was I mean, it's workers on the way to work would stop in, and it's not the sit down culture. You know, and you know,
yeah. Maybe there's something about the cocoa because we have a client from Australia, and sometimes he comes to visit here. It's also kind of like a nomad, kind of like lifestyle, and he did invite me for like, let's go for a cocoa. In the center, there's like this great place, so like when they do cocoa.
You could? Yeah, no,
and I was like, what? I don't. I mean,
why?
Yeah, like why? So maybe it's a thing.
Oh yeah, maybe you got to find out where it is and tell me because it's just one of those kind of real nostalgic.
Okay, yeah, he said
things.
like it's the best one. I was like, it's somewhere in the Old Town Square. Okay, I'm gonna ask him. He's like, yeah, it's the best. I was like, and we never went. I don't know why. Well, because why would we? But we went for a beer instead. But maybe I will ask him where it is. Maybe it's a thing.
And there were a couple other places like I had like this is back in the olden days, of course, before internet, right? And all. Yeah. So I had a book, Let's Go Europe, and in fact, this was like Let's Go Eastern Europe, right? And so in the book, I actually found like a vegetarian restaurant. Believe it or not, that was in the Old Town Square. Like it was like one of these kind of the old buffet. I love the buffet.
Yeah. The old style.
And interesting enough, because I'm here, I'm an English teacher and it's all private English. And there's one student that I have who's just a little bit older than me, and he remembers that restaurant, which is really cool. Like one of, like, I don't know, the friend of his uncle of blah, 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 blah used to run it.
Yeah.
And
so always someone like that.
He knew exactly what I was talking.
We need to find that place. About. We need to find that place,
but it doesn't exist anymore now, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I know exactly where the bill. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But something that was really curious, and in fact, it was so curious. I was almost a little bit nervous about coming back in 2018 because it's kind of like
you got me intrigued now.
It was the immediate effect of Americanism here. And this is not like, okay, I'm Canadian, but it's not, this is not an anti-American thing. It's just that I didn't see it in the same way in the other capital cities because I spent time in Warsaw, Budapest, and also Bucharest.
Yeah.
And so I just, to chalk it up, it was probably because of Radio Free Europe and things like that. But, and also too, because Havel, like Václav Havel, was like a rock star in America. Like literally, when he came to America and then came to Toronto, we're talking about like his entourage would go down the main street and there's people on the street cheering. Like I got goosebumps thinking about it. Is that the somehow the connection between, and I'll say like the American, it would have been George Bush at that time. George Bush, or I think or maybe he just won in 1980, something like that. But anyways, I just remember the George Bush thing, that there was some kind of connection between, it might have been the American Peace Corps, or Radio Free Europe or something like that. So there were American flags everywhere. And so in the Old Town Square, there used to be, not too far from where the clock is, was like a so-called, well, not an internet cafe, but it was kind of like an American cafe that you could go in and read American newspapers, and everything about America was just completely Americanized. So, and I, because I was so enchanted by Prague, I kind of, because Budapest, it wasn't like that in Budapest, because Budapest is also beautiful, in its own way, in terms of its architecture. And so that's why the McDonald's coming in March 1992. And
first thing.
This is like the first day, 11,000 people went to it. And I thought, it's over. It's gone.
It's the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Really, really. Because in November 1990, George Bush came for November 17th. And so he and Havel gave speeches at the in Wenceslas Square. So it was like that was the first anniversary of the revolution. So, I mean, then there's the Americanization was just everybody was walking around wearing American T-shirts, American pins, American flags everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. And again, I don't mean that as a negative thing. It's just that I kind of thought, are they going to be able to maintain their Czechness?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we?
Yes, that was my question. How do you feel like now?
Well,
be open.
Yeah.
Well, that was the interesting thing coming back, because I came back and some of my, when I say my younger Czech students, I mean talking about students in their 20s, who are very enchanted with like the Dubai buildings, like or what Warsaw looks like, in terms of its skyscrapers and things like that. That they're kind of like, like that Prague is too old fashioned.
Yeah.
And I was really pleasantly surprised at and very pleased in terms of, as I understand, municipal policy about how the facades of buildings must be handled, and that no building, like the heights of buildings. Yeah. And it's like very cool.
Okay.
So at some point, that glamorization of the American thing seemed to subside. And then this reemergence or this renaissance of Czechness came out.
Yeah. We have like conflicted opinions about that. What I hear, some people are like, oh, Prague is so old fashioned and you cannot build anything, like there are no like modern buildings. But then there's another opinion saying that actually, like it's a way to contain the like Czech history and Czech architecture and everything. And Prague invests so much money to actually restore and also old buildings and stuff. I think we talked about it on one of our podcasts about all the parking spaces being built and all the office buildings being built unnecessarily. So it's very good to hear as well your point of view, that it's nice that it's something you appreciate.
Yeah, and I think and that goes hand in hand with like one of the things that attracted me about coming back in 2018 and staying here is that Canada is a new country. We became a country in 1867, and during the COVID time, when all the Czechs were going, we were allowed to go hike, and so I'm not a hiker, so I started visiting towns and cities across Czech Republic, and I'm so enchanted with castles like with Hrad and Zámek, because we don't have them in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So, and even today, like when these days, what I mean to say is that there'll be lineups of Czechs taking their families on tours of these castles and chateaus. And then they just sort of hand me the text. I go on the tour and they hand me the text in English and I just kind of go gawking around and stuff like that. But just this real reinforcement, and it's just really cool. That's appreciated so much, and this kind of restoration of these magnificent.
We have hundreds or thousands of them. I used to love it when I was a kid, because every weekend during the summer we went to some castle, and there's always the hike because the castles are usually on some hill. So you just walk there for 2 hours, and then you go inside the castle and you see all the knights' armors and all the like old bedrooms and everything. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a totally different culture. I feel like I maybe understand you a little better than Jan here, because me growing up in Russia, we also don't have anything. Especially my city was like totally destroyed during Second World War, so there was like nothing. So it's like only gray buildings and tanks and Lenin and Stalin's monuments everywhere. So there wasn't really much to go like on the weekend and look at. So also when I came here, I was like, that is bizarre. Like, why don't we do it every day? Can we just go to one castle every day?
Yeah.
And we still do it with my girlfriends. We just like go like by car and just go to a random castle, and it's so cool.
Yeah. And that's and so
you still have the markets there where they make swords,
Oh yeah. And it's actually kind of cute with some of my some of my students will say, well, I want to take my family somewhere for the weekend. Where should I go, Joanne? It's like, well, try this one.
Wow.
Do you have a favorite one? Do you have a favorite one where you like go to, or like the one that really?
Well, there's one that's actually in just out, not too far from Olomouc, and it's Helstein, like
Helstein.
Yeah, Helstein. Yes. That one is really super cool. That one is really super cool because it's been renovated and restored. They've used a lot of glass and old rusted. So it's got the old and the new. It even
won some prize, I think. Like awards for the best reconstruction or something.
They've got the old, they've got the shell, and they've got some of the rooms are but then they've got this kind of like this. It's the blending with the modern.
Yeah.
And then in the courtyard, they'll have the blacksmiths, and they'll have all these things that make it kind of like family friendly. And so I did have this kind of like checklist. Oh, this is a really good one.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I'll say because and you'll have to correct me on my pronunciation again because my pronunciation is I focus on English teaching, not Czech learning.
That's fair.
And this one blew me away. Okay, because it's direct connection to my past. Konopishke? Because
how is it connected? Yeah,
because I was totally fascinated with World War I, like obsessed, because my grandfather was in World War I, and Franz, the Archduke Franz, who was the owner of that, he was assassinated in Sarajevo, which kicked off World War I. And so when I went there, it's kind of like, oh my God, this is a direct connection to my own history of hearing the stories of my grandfather, who was, he was in France in the trenches as a teenager. So it's not directly connected to here, but it's part of the whole World War I thing, right? Yeah. And in 1977, when I was in the former Yugoslavia, I specifically went to Sarajevo to see where he was shot.
When the assassination happened.
Yeah, where the assassination happened. And then, oh my God, this is his, And then, there was the anniversary a couple years ago of, every year on the anniversary of his death, which is a fun fact, they in the chapel at this chateau, they hold a reenactment of the church service in Latin, and they invite ambassadors. Like they invite people like the embassies to come to this. So I went a couple of years ago, and there's like these representatives from somebody from Peru and somebody from Argentina, and some Asian there for the. But what's funny about it is that I'm sitting there in the church service and I'm thinking I'm on the wrong side, because my British family, like my British side, would have been backing the Serb, not the Archduke side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing. But anyways, it was just kind of I had never thought that it was about the castle and having that kind of connection, to being here, and that connection to it's like a puzzle of history. It's fascinating. Yeah,
we've been kind of under different influences throughout the whole history of our country, basically. So Russians, Germans, before that was the Hungarian Empire. So you have a lot of connection there, like to different events, international events in the world. Yeah.
Well, this year is an important anniversary for the Battle of the three emperors, the Napoleon thing in Slavkov. Yeah, and I've gone to that reenactment a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's also a very Czech thing, I think.
Reenactment?
That we like reconstruct the battles and like fight and shoot.
Yeah. So there's there'll be Russian representatives, and there'll be French representatives and Belgian representatives that are there, and they actually reenact the battle of I guess it's Austerlitz. Yeah. But just this. like again, like I studied Napoleon when I was a kidlet, and so now going to the places where it actually happened.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm so quiet right now because I know nothing about history. Because growing up, we had like 4 different books of history, and it's been rewritten every year. We had like new history, and so that's why I'm like, I'm so quiet right now. I'm like, yeah, Napoleon, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting to maybe I should open a book and read something about history. Maybe I should do that. I'll think about it in my free time. But it's so cool.
Well, I think it's just from the point of view of I was like back in Canada. I was a history professor, and so it's the natural thing for me. It's like, well, why? How can where? Like this. So it just became
well,
yeah. And then so I mean, and to be honest, because I'm still a teacher now, with it's just fun conversation.
It is
with
for
my
sure.
with my students.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wish I knew more about history, honestly, because literally like every year we had like a different history book, and it was like the events of that book were like rewritten. Literally. And I was going to in Russia, I was going to a private school. We were not a governmental school, and still that happened. So we were like very alternative, and never like, which formed me as a person, I feel like. But still, like it happened. So I'm such a mess. Like I have no idea of major events, because every year we kept learning depending who was in the government.
I think, and if I can imagine, it would have been because you would have been, that would have been in the 90s. After the 90s as well, when things started to change.
Yeah, it was early 2000s.
Yeah, so by then, the whole sort of transition.
Yeah. So 1 year was one information, second year was literally Hitler never died. Then it was Hitler's still alive. Then he committed suicide. I was like, what is? So I know so little, and I'm kind of ashamed of it. So I think I need to learn a little bit more. But it's very interesting to I think I'm more of an audio learner, so I'm much more interested to listen to you talking about this. It's actually very interesting.
Yep.
Well, even it's one thing I was saying to someone a few days ago. I was wandering around in the forest outside of Usti.
Picking up mushrooms?
Actually, no, I have not. I've never been mushrooming.
We are going mushrooming next year. It's going to be an event for the party.
You should organize a mushrooming party.
Oh my God, we should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody get baskets for everybody, because I see baskets.
In news in the Czech Republic, that there was some old lady who went mushrooming, and she ended up in Slovakia. And the police was looking for her in the Czech Republic, and she just appeared somewhere in Slovakia with the basket full of mushrooms. I was like,
oh yeah, that's That's such a
mushroom picking is such a Czech thing. It's great. Yeah. Okay. So next year we're gonna organize a Move to Prague mushroom picking.
I think it's a great idea.
That could be a good team building, or
also
mixing.
But we need to have at least one person who knows something about mushrooms. It's very
yes. This is the thing, because I'm looking at these things.
Yeah, it's not gonna be me. I'll be like, that looks cute. I'm gonna eat you up. That's not gonna be me.
Because some of them are cute, and it's just that. But the cute ones might be the.
I know.
The deadly ones.
The deadly, yes, for sure.
Okay, so that gives us some food for thought.
Let's maybe now discuss people.
Oh yeah.
So when you came here the first time, and now how people treat you as a foreigner.
Yeah, because you told me that was actually a very good point, because you said that you being a woman traveling, you were treated nicely, and you a lot of doors opened for you, and people tried to take care of you. Do you think it was also because you were from West?
Yes, yes, and I think because they would have been able to tell by the way I was dressed that I wasn't from at that time.
True,
at that time, back because there's a saying you can tell by looking at somebody's shoes, for example, but actually, you know what I would have to say. And I really find this so interesting on Facebook pages, like the expats Facebook, when people
my personal hell.
Oh yeah, you got to really watch when you read this stuff, right? What time of the day? But it's I personally I don't have problems with Czechs, and even, it could be because, and this actually happens regularly. Well, people come up and ask me for directions, and they'll ask me in Czech.
Yeah.
And it's like, sorry, and then they feel embarrassed or whatever. But, so it could be because of how I, like my physical appearance, like my face. Maybe I look like I'm from, like a Slavic, maybe I look Slavic, I don't know. But so I never have problems. And then, and this is what I hear, is that people, like, and just generally speaking, like whether I'm in Prague or even in small town Czech Republic, people like practicing their English with me. And maybe because I speak clearly, I don't know, but I rarely, like I can count on one hand when I've had kind of a, like where someone's kind of been, and it's usually, and they're probably having a bad hair day, or whatever. So I don't take it personally, but I never have problems.
So I think that's exactly like because we have so many clients, and like so many people we talk with. It's such a big difference on how you also like show yourself in the present. Like when I look at you and I speak with you, I always feel so great. Like you make me feel so great and so welcomed. And I feel like that's also a difference between people who don't want to integrate, who like are just, grumpy and kind of like angry by their nature. And that's why they encounter also all these problems and everything. And then there's you, like, and you said like, oh yeah, they're like, a few times they were grumpy, but it's probably because, they had a bad day. So I think that's also, exactly. And I think that's also a huge difference because, I don't know, every time I speak with you, like you always are just, bright and happy and joyful. So,
well, I think it's also is that I just I've traveled in over 90 countries. And because my last job, I worked at a university in the international department. So I was doing a lot of international travel to recruit students to come and study in Canada.
Yeah.
So, and even now, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean it actually just in a respectful way, is that, even at times when I'm caught off guard with how things are managed here, it's like, it's kind of like, well, I'm an outsider, and I don't want to say I'm a guest here, but just in the sense that I, like it's not going to run the same way as it does in downtown Toronto. I mean, there was a few things that have caught me off guard, because Canada is a multicultural country. I mean, it's right in our Constitution. So this idea of difference, is so normal for me that coming here and hearing certain kinds of comments about people of color has really caught me off guard because mostly because I'm not used to it. And it was kind of like a whole kind of realignment because it's like, okay, borders, like the borders are very important in Europe, like because what happened after World War I and then what happened after World War II and then after 89 and blah, blah, blah. Borders are very important here. And also the fact, and I keep, well, Czech Republic is a new democracy, because when you think about it, I mean, it had the first republic was a very short period of time. And then this whole thing of, post 89, like that 35 years, that's barely one generation, so there's a lot. So, when I hear comments about, there's no migrant crisis here, people, but when I hear comments about, and I'll just coin it as people of color. So what I mean. It's like I just say, oh, it's a new democracy. They're just not. They're just
still
not
learning.
They're still. Yeah.
To treat people respectfully.
And I think, and then putting it in the Czech context. I mean, you were occupied the country was like this area was occupied for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, but anyways, I only say that I mean, I'm not saying this because I accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I understand.
Okay.
I put it in its context. Oh yeah, no. It's just that there's just certain topics that I don't just generally don't bring up.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, of course, yeah.
But I can
sense,
certainly, and I, quite frankly, I can certainly feel it on the streets or in the metro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you know, just how Czechs manage themselves.
You can just be open, like that is a
well, it's kind of like okay, so let's just say that there's some, you know, and you would know this from your business. I mean, there's certain nations right now that are either coming here to study, you know, certain cultures that are coming here to study or to work and things like that, and that. They come from very overpopulated countries. So when they're on the metro or in the streets, they're talking loudly, and it's a very open culture, you know. And so Europeans generally don't, you know, we're quiet on the metro.
Yeah.
On the buses and trams,
yeah.
right? And we're not allowed. Not we, but the culture.
I like that. I actually like that. You said we Europeans.
And so unfortunately, sometimes you know, people who are new here, they don't see themselves. They don't see how they're being seen. You know, and so then I observe how Czechs will kind of like move to another part of the metro. Or the bus, because they don't really want to be beside someone who's making a like speaking very loudly on their cell phone in a different language.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to go there and tell them something, you know?
Oh yeah, that's also very Czech. Oh yeah. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah,
exactly.
That's very Czech.
Yeah. Very passive, but very passive aggressive.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if somebody just said like once in a while, like just politely, you know, like, you know what, like we usually talk, you know, a little bit quieter here, or we usually it's not in our culture to talk on the phone, and like this, like everybody would be happier.
If some, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean. Yes, I actually liked what you were talking about before, that you understand where we're coming from, because you sometimes don't, or say you...
No, I do understand where you're coming from. I just understand that I just say like education is a choice. And there's so much information available now. And it's just your choice of, for example, Czech people, whether you decide to educate yourself or not. Because like the opportunity to learn is endless right now. It's not like in the 90s when you have like to stop a person to talk on the street. Now it's like everywhere. It's just pouring from every hole. It's like very hard not to educate yourself.
True.
So that's why. Like I agree with you. I understand where it's coming from, but I also don't understand why more people don't.
I think it's changing because like imagine during the whole like communist time, we were taught not to express ourselves and not to express our opinions.
We had this conversation before.
I know.
We had this conversation.
But now it's changing because we were just taught that. So now it's changing. The younger generation is more aware of the feelings and like they can actually set some boundaries. But before that, we were just not.
Actually, yes. This is that's something that's very because it's also like it's post. It's definitely like I have a few students who, you know, like would tell me stories about what was going on during World War II when it was dangerous, you know, to talk about this and that. And then post World War II and, you know, like through the communist era. I do have a few. And it's actually, it's very interesting from point of view that okay, so if I have one student, for example, who he's about 70-ish, and he just found out some things that his family was involved in during World War II. And because he knows of my interest in history, you know, and like his grandmother, his granny, hid Jews in Prague here, you know, and it was just never talked about. And he didn't discover this until after his mom passed away, and they found some things deep in some papers, like the Yellow Star, and so Yara was kind of like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Yeah.
And because people learn not to talk about things, because during World War II, they couldn't talk about it because it was dangerous. And then post-World War.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of time of not talking about things. And then other people that I know, like other students who would be, let's say, in their 50s, who tell me stories about what it was like to go to school at that time. And they would learn something at school, and then they go home, and they just learn what not to talk about at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's deep.
Yeah.
It's really deep. And I feel blessed because in my case, like I have a few of my students I've had for 6 or 7 years. So it's really interesting when, like over time, they share with me these kinds of personal things, maybe because I'm an outsider and they can't talk to their family about it in the same way because everyone is still not talking about it, but they'll come and talk to me about it because I'm the outsider.
Yeah.
So it's really
might actually be helping to change the culture a bit this way. It's better if they talk to someone.
Yeah.
They open up. Than if they keep it inside the whole time. So.
Yeah. So but it takes time, and I keep and different times it's like, like with the recent election. It's a new democracy. And I have to be very careful not to bring up stuff about that too. Yeah.
You can hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it might come up in some of the Q&A, So.
Yeah.
Well, we started talking about also people and then they come up to you and all these positive experiences that you have. I was wondering what is something you love the most about living in the Czech Republic?
And actually it's interesting because I do travel a lot outside, because and I always had this real nice feeling of coming back. Like I come back into the main train station. It's like or coming back into the airport and walking through the terminal, and it's like running to catch the bus to get it's
home.
Yeah, it's a nice sense of familiarity. Yeah,
I get it.
That's because there's so it's nice. I like that. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was your question again? I kind of got diverted here.
I was wondering, what is the thing you love the most about?
Well, something that is I used to be professor of world cinema in Canada. I love cinema, like the movies, and this is one reason why I've stayed in Prague specifically, is because, and I don't know if it's because of the Karlovar Film Festival or because of Barandov or what it is, but there's a lot of really cool film festivals that happen here and a lot of art house cinemas and films that will open up here in Prague with English subtitles before they're released in Canada and the U.S. and maybe not even be released in Canada and the U.S. And it's like, this is a big wow for me. It's just like I go to the movies minimum once a week, but sometimes 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh,
that is a big culture of movie making.
Yeah.
It used to be also a very popular destination, Prague and the Czech Republic in general, for film crews in the 90s and early 2000s. Because there was this support from the government. Now it's not that high, so it's not that much, but we still have a lot of Indians come here, for example, to the Prague Film School. So they study here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so interesting. Are you going to the because there's an Indian film festival this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is the Diwali celebration.
Yeah. I think there's 2 films. There's 2 films. There are a couple of films that are playing at Svetozor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Some Bollywood films.
Yeah. I love Bollywood.
So they come here to learn how to direct Bollywood films. Yeah.
Oh, that is very cool. Yeah.
And have you ever been to the Karlovy Vary Film Festival?
I haven't.
It's my dream.
Well, I would like to. I mean, if you know, it is this. I have to plan better because I do know people, you know, like parents of my students or whoever who have connections, and I just have to get the connection. Yeah. I'm a little bit more, you know, like one of my favorite places I like to go to is Edison Film Hub. Mm-hmm. You know, Junriska, it's Junriska.
Junriska, yeah.
And
no, I don't know that, but
well, it's Edison Film Hub is they have a lot of films that are with English subtitles, but they, for example, they'll be hosting the Scandi Film Festival in January, which is the Scandinavian, and it's just, you know, like their little hall holds. It's kind of like Panripo. You know, just it's small enough, and then you know, they've got the guest speakers that come in, and you know, like the directors, or they'll have like Google Meet the professors, the directors in for conversations afterwards, and it's just like hello moments. I like this kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't like that. I mean, it would be nice to see the stars, but it's more the you know, like the crowds and having the last row. You know, I've got to be like fifth row center. Yeah.
And I had a funny story from the film festival because I was there right after high school. Because I moved to Prague back then, 2006, I think. And my first job here was, you see these rickshaws like in the city center, or maybe they're not there anymore now, but used to be a couple of years ago.
You're not talking about this kind of rickshaw.
No. Like,
you're the bicycle.
The bike, and then you had tourists behind you and you were like traveling with them. And so we moved this to Karlovy Vary for the festival back then.
Oh.
And I'm originally from a very, very small village, like 1,000 people. And we are used to greeting everyone because you know everyone. So you like
of course
meet the person and say, hey, good morning, how are you? All that. And then I went to the festival, and one of the main, like, who's that? Like the person who introduces everyone.
Oh, like an MC. Yeah.
You know Marek Eben? Probably not, but that's the person who's been doing it for years.
Okay, yeah.
And I saw him there, and I recognized him. Like the face was familiar, so I like immediately said, "Dobrý den, how are you?" And I didn't realize because it was the reflex from the small village that we know. So I thought I know him personally, and he was like, Dobrý den. Oh, fuck. It's a bit embarrassing, but...
But did you realize right away?
A bit later, like couple seconds later, probably.
I mean, right, okay. Like, not like a few days after, like, oh, shit.
I was like, I didn't know him personally.
Which is actually curious because I've encountered that a couple of times where people coming up and, like, I'm walking in small town Czech Republic as a... You know, like, and I'm animated enough to, you know, because it's a hi, you know, but I know a few times, and this is actually really interesting because it's such a difference with my culture, is that when we walk into stores in Canada, we don't say hello, how are you, or good afternoon. They do here.
Yeah.
And if you don't respond, because my inclination is not to respond because I just want to look. Don't, you know, like just, you know, I just want to be anonymous.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had a few people give me dirty looks, and you know, because
not
I don't
behaved,
say,
not well behaved.
Yeah, because I'm not, and then when I explained this to some of my students, they said, well, back when we were kids, if we didn't say hello to somebody in the street, you know, they told our moms. So this is deep in our culture.
Yeah.
So I can see, yeah.
Well, I have another story with Jan saying hello to random people. Jan visited Russia with me. And in Russia, like, not only we don't say hi or hello, like, you're happy if, like, they're not just, like, send you to hell after one interaction. So, like, that's not the culture at all. So we're, like, traveling with this, like, mini bus, you know, like a taxi with, like, more people.
Like
a very Russian thing. And they usually some... You know, Georgian guys like driving this taxis that are like brutal and everything, you know, like, and so it like adds to the brutalism of the everything what's happening. And here's Jan, just a little like, you know, Czech European. we are exiting the little taxi, and Jan just turns to this like huge Georgian brutal man. He says, "That's kind of no." And the guy was baffled. He was like, bye-bye. He was like, it was his first encounter. Like, it was super cute. And he was baffled. He was like, bye-bye. It was super cute. So yeah, I also actually like it about Czech Republic so much, in Prague specifically as well. Just like everybody, like you go to an elevator and you say hi, and you go away and you say bye, everything.
It is really interesting. Yeah. Considering that Czechs are very, because this is something else that shows up on the Facebook pages is that, it takes me a long time to make Czech friends because Czechs do have that wall.
Yeah.
In terms of they'll say hi, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why when I mentioned before about I feel really lucky that I have like sort of after 5 or 6 years, I'll actually meet some of my students for coffee. Like we'll go for coffee, but it's taken that long,
Yeah.
And it's not. I never felt offended by that. It's just that there's the definite line of you're not my friend.
Yeah.
I'm just saying hi.
Yeah.
Which is it's just part of the the cultural difference.
Yeah. As we say every podcast, I feel like that Americans are peaches and Czech people are coconuts. So because Czech people are very hard on outside, but once you get to know them, they're like very like juicy and like very mild and very like whatever. And Americans were like, I imagine, like any more westernized. I think Canadians maybe as well. You would tell me if I'm wrong. You're very like soft and like friendly and everything, but it's hard to get inside. It's hard to like. There are certain topics when you're like, okay, that's enough. That's my boundary. So it's hard to like get. You tend to get a little harder on the inside when it comes to like some more intimate topics or something. But you're like, you have this impression, or at least Americans do that, very, friendly and fluffy and talk like and having like the small talks and everything. And Czech people are the opposite, very hard to get inside. But once you're in, you're best friends.
Well, I would say, and this is kind of like my jaded Canadian thing, and I'm just very aware of this. This is actually one reason why I'm very happy to be here now and not there, is that the sharing a border with America, like 5,000 kilometers of unguarded border, but just in a sense of how we've been so influenced with media and information for years, and we have policies in Canada to actually protect our media, in terms of certain like allowances of Canadian content that must be, because the difference, like here, you're not going to get the news from Poland or Germany because it's in a different language. We share the same language. So it's very easy for information to go across the border. Yeah. But one thing that I would say, what I would say is that with the North American thing is that because the sense of media and information is so strong that they think they know. And when I say they think they know, and because my experience with American tourists, I'm talking about, the ones that are wearing the shorts and the socks and the sandals. Okay. So I'm not saying every American tourist, but they have this sense of the way that things should be done. That they don't understand that we don't have top sheets here. We have duvets.
Yeah.
We don't have top sheets. We don't have washcloths here, and they, that's very primitive, so there's certain types of things that they don't get.
Yeah.
And so they may be really friendly at the beginning, but then if you don't do things the way that they're familiar with, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of Canadianism that's the same as that. But I don't want to say that all Canadians are like that because it just kind of it's hard to separate. Like I can't tell you how many arguments I've had with one of my brothers about Trump, for example. Like I don't get it why he's such why my brother is such a big Trump supporter. It's not even our politics. And we're arguing about it, and it doesn't make sense to me. And the only thing that I can explain is because of media and the language. So if you have German so if you go to Karlovy Vary and let's say there's a German television station, you just turn you turn the channel, right, and listen to something Czech instead. But we get that stuff pumped in like Fox News, and it's part of our broadcast. So it's kind of weird, that way.
It's an interesting perspective.
Well, wow, it's been very interesting talks here.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just finish with a quick round of questions for the end, for a little more fun. Something. Are you prepared?
I'll ask you a couple of questions, and you have how many? 5 words maybe to answer? 1 word?
Doesn't need to be. Just
okay,
I'll say.
Just
a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah. So best Czech food.
Klabitsky?
Klabitsky?
Oh, yes. Oh, I love them.
Which one is your favorite?
Well, you know what? The avocado one is my favorite, but I like the roast beef one as well.
Oh, it's very uncommercial.
Yeah, I know. It's not exactly Czech, but it's still, they're so cute and yummy and quick.
Yeah. Klabitsky is my favorite fast food.
Most definitely.
Have you made them at home?
I have not, but I remember when you first came to our school, you brought a box of them.
Mm-hmm. We still do that.
Yeah.
We still do that. We still have TEFL and we still have these presentations, and we always do till this day.
Oh yeah. It's a good thing to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Worst Czech habit.
Worst Czech habit. Oh, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? For me, the glass is half full. Czechs can be really negative, like Debbie Downer, like hello. Yeah, so I have to really be careful about that. Yeah. This negativity.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sunny, but it's going to rain tomorrow.
Or it's too sunny.
Yeah.
Oh, could be better.
But it's always a but.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdest thing about Czechs.
Well, it's weird, but I've gotten used to it. Now it's so cool that maybe it's because I'm an old lady, but I get offered seats on the trams and metros all the time. And that is really cool. And at first I was like, I can stand. And then I realized that, and you would remember this when you were growing up. You took the dance lessons when you were 15. Were you part of the dancing class?
We had to.
And then you learned etiquette. And so part of the etiquette training for the teenagers is that you give older people the seats. And so it's like, so I kind of get on trains and buses and looking to see, who's going to give me the seat.
Yeah.
So that's really weird.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prague in 1 word.
Oh, it's beautiful. It really, it's such a corny word. It's a really pretty city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in awe. Sorry, it's not 1 word.
Yeah.
Awe.
Oh, that's a good word. Yeah.
Yes. And that's AWE. Yeah. I'm just saying that because, no, it's awe.
So not the Czech awe.
Yeah, not the Czech awe. It's like awe.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And finally, would you live here forever?
Well, I just, applied for the permanent residency. And so my plan is to be here for a while yet,
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not ready to move back to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm happy where I am. So this is the good
we're happy
point.
to have you.
Yes. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
As we're starting this series of inviting guests, and you are our first guest on podcast, the final question what I would like to ask you today is, what advice would you give someone who's just moving here, as someone who stayed here for so long?
Wow. Czech Republic is not just Prague.
Mm-hmm.
So get out of Prague from time. It's really easy peasy to get out of Prague and do little day trips around the country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe it's so that's definitely one thing to do. Get out of Prague, and it's more than Karlovy Vary and České Krumlov. There's a lot of, by the way. And it's a new democracy.
Yeah.
I think it's just a handy thing to know, that there's some things that are just not worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if this is cut just as reels or something, you definitely need to go back to the whole episode of the podcast because you explain that more, the new democracy thing. So
Well, with everything, even when I noticed the changes, like when, for example, when I was first applying for my visa, when I first came, and, that I would have to take, my pieces of paper from office to office.
Yeah.
And you have this feeling there's a carbon copy.
Yeah.
And just how things have changed even in a short period of time of me being here. But it takes time for things to change.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much. It was
Thank you
actually,
very
it
much.
was so interesting and also a little history lesson for me as well. Thank you so much. And if you guys would like to be also part of it and you have some maybe a fun story or something you would like to share, you can definitely get in touch. And if you have more questions for Joanne, you can also leave them in the comments and we will pass them to Joanne and she can also answer them if you don't mind.
Well, thanks for the invitation today. Yeah.
It was lovely having you. Lovely speaking with you. Thank you for sharing everything you've shared. And
then we'll see you next time.
Okay. Super.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks.